point from the herbal drug technology, that is the biodynamic agriculture. I once again welcome you all in the session on the herbal drug technology, and today we are going to discuss the new point, that is the biodynamic agriculture. So in the case of biodynamic agriculture, we are going to discuss the good agricultural practices in cultivation of medicinal plants, including organic farming, then pest and pest management in medicinal plants, biopesticides, and the bioinsecticides. So this is the content which is given as per the syllabus. Let us move towards the learning objectives. So after completion of this module, you will be able to define biodynamic agriculture. That is, what is meant by the biodynamic agriculture. You will be able to describe good agricultural practices in the cultivation of medicinal plants. What are the different good agricultural practices which are used in the cultivation of the medicinal plants? Furthermore, you are going to understand the concepts of organic farming. What is mean by organic farming and so on. Then you will be able to describe the pest and pest management in the medicinal plant. We are going to discuss different examples of the pest and how it is going to be managed for the medicinal plant. And the last point which we are going to discuss, that is, you will be able to discuss the biopesticides and the bioinsecticides. So these are the learning objectives which I have set for the topic biodynamic agriculture. So let us move towards the introduction to the biodynamic agriculture. So biodynamic agriculture is a form of organic farming which includes various concepts introduced by the Rudolf Stever in 1924. So it is one of the form of the organic farming which is being introduced in the 1924 by the Rudolf Stever. So before dealing with the biodynamic agriculture, one should know what is meant by the biodynamics. So biodynamics is a system of organic agriculture which recognizes the biological and chemical values of soil and treats soil fertility, plant growth, livestock care as an ecologically interrelated task. So what is mean by biodynamics? Biodynamics is a system of organic agriculture which recognizes the biological and chemical values of soil and treats the soil fertility, plant growth, and livestock care as a ecologically interrelated task. Furthermore, the dealing with the biodynamic farming is an alternative where the chemical fertilizers are totally replaced by biological nutrients which is derived from the microorganisms like say for example bacteria, algae, fungi, and it emphasizes the use of manures and compost. So in the case of biodynamic farming, we are replacing whole chemical fertilizers. We are not using any chemicals for the pest management, and which is being replaced with the biological nutrients which are made up of the microorganisms. Say for example, bacteria, algae, fungi, along with the use of the manure and the compost. So that is nothing but a biodynamic farming. So biodynamic farming treats animals, crops, and soil as a single system. So here we are treating the animals, crops, and the soil as a single system, and fertilizers used of a traditional system and development of a new local breed and the varieties. So it uses the various herbal and the mineral additives in the manufacture of the compost and field spray. So in the case of biodynamic agriculture, furthermore, we are using certain herbal preparations or the mineral additives for the manufacturing of the compost and the field spray that will improve the soil fertility. So biodynamic farming also emphasizes on the use of astronomical sowing and moon planting calendar. There is a moon planting calendar is available, and furthermore that could be utilized for the biodynamic farming along with the astronomical sowing. Biodynamic farming promotes composting, green manuring, then crop rotations, intercropping, mixed cropping, so on, as well as employing predators, parasites, which are natural enemies of the pests. So in the biodynamic farming, it promotes the composting, green manuring, crop rotations, intercropping, mixed cropping, etc., as well as employing the predators, parasites, which are natural enemies of the pests. So this is something about the biodynamic agriculture. Let us see what is a biodynamic agriculture. So it is one of the agricultural technique nowadays which is widely used. Here, in the case of biodynamic agriculture, the farm is considered as a living entity where the sustainable ecological methods are used for soil fertility, plant growth, and livestock management or livestock care. So here we are considering the farm as a living entity, and it is a sustainable ecological methods are used for the soil fertility, plant growth, and livestock care or the management. Biodynamic agriculture is environment friendly. So whatever we are using the concepts, principles in the biodynamic agriculture, these are the environment friendly, resource conserving, economical, socially supportive, and commercially competitive. If you can see the biodynamic agriculture, we are not using at all the chemical fertilizers and the pesticides. This is the one of the important aspects of the biodynamic agriculture. Furthermore, if you can see the details of biodynamic agriculture, it involves the use of natural methods like soil building, use of natural composting manures, crop rotation to increase the yield and soil health. So biodynamic agriculture involves the crop rotation to increase the yield as well as to improve the health of the soil. Furthermore, we are using the field sprays that is known as the Bd500 and Bd501 or the additives for the manure composting, and that is being utilized furthermore to improve the soil fertility. Maintenance of biological rhythm of farm. So in the case of biodynamic agriculture, we are maintaining the biological rhythm of the farm. Then the prohibition of any synthetic fertilizers and the pesticides. We are not at all using any kind of synthetic material in the farming. Then furthermore, the pests are being managed by the natural ways. And finally, it involves the certification of products to ensure the quality. So this is about the biodynamic agriculture principles and the methodologies which are used in the biodynamic agriculture. So very first thing, here we need to consider the effect of cosmic forces. So in the case of cosmic forces, it involves consideration of effect of light and cosmic forces from sun, earth, moon, and stars on the plant growth. So in this, we are considering the effect of light and the cosmic forces from sun, earth, moon, and stars on the growth of the plant, isn't it? Furthermore, the position of moon, that is ascending and descending, is taken into the consideration while doing the farming. Then soil preparation, sowing, harvesting is to be done with the rhythm of nature. So whatever the natural things are there, according to nature, we are going for the soil preparation, then the sowing of the seeds, furthermore, harvesting. Then the constellation, there is a group of stars, are also being considered before starting the most of the agricultural activity. So we are considering the effect of cosmic forces on the plant growth and various activities related with the farming, which is being controlled by considering the effect of light and the cosmic forces from sun, earth, moon, and stars. Let us move towards the cow pat peat. So it is something which is related with the cow. So it is also known as CPP. See the image which I have shown on the slide. So it is also known as a CPP, and it is a specialized type of compost. It refers to cow manure mixed with the crushed eggshells and basalt dust. Then put it into the 12-inch deep pit lined with the bricks. And we have to leave it as it is for the approximately 3 to 4 months for the fermentation. So along with we have to supposed to add certain preparations like a 502 and 507, and at the end we will get the cow pat peat which is given to the farm. So this is about the cow pat peat. Let us move towards the biodynamic field spray. Furthermore, certain biodynamic field sprays are also utilized in the biodynamic agriculture. It is known as the Bd500 and Bd501. So Bd500, it is also known as the cow horn manure. So what is the Bd500? Bd500, it is the cow horn manure, isn't it? It is fermented cow manure derivative used to improve the soil fertility. So it is being sprayed onto the farm and for improvement of the soil quality, soil fertility. It helps in the formation of a strong root system for the plants, medicinal plants. So cow horn filled with a fresh lactating cow dung. So whatever the cow dung is there, it should be collected. It should be filled into the cow horns. Look at the image so that you will understand how it is to be done. These horns buried during the descending moon, allowed to ferment and taken out during the winter and kept at a dark place in a earthen pot. So what we have to do? We have to supposed to collect the cow horns. It should be filled with the cow dung. Furthermore, it should be buried during the descending moon and allowed to ferment for the long period of time. Then furthermore, we have to supposed to take it out in a winter season and kept in a dark place in an earthen pot. And that is utilized for the preparation of sprays. So for preparing the spray solution, 1 hectare, for a 1 hectare, 62.5 grams of the Bd500 is dissolved in a 40 liter of warm water with a continuous stirring for 1 hour, alternatively clockwise and anti-clockwise. And it should be sprayed, right? So it is used to improve the soil quality. It is used to improve the organic matter, microbial biomass, and the diversity. Furthermore, the Bd500 has enzyme-specific activities and are rich in the microbial cells like a genus Bacillus, exhibits an auxin-like activity. And this is being acted as a prime starter of biodynamics. Let us see the Bd501. So Bd501, it is a cow horn silica. It is also known as the cow horn silica. And Bd500, it is a cow horn manure. So that is the difference between Bd500 and Bd501. So Bd501, it is made from quartz crystal ground to alum powder consistency packed in a cow horn. So look at the image so that you will get the idea. So cow horn buried during the spring equinox and taken out during the autumn equinox. The material stored in the glass bottle, which is exposed to the sun by windowsill, and this material is used to prepare the Bd501 spray. Prepare a solution by dissolving 2.5 grams in a 40 liter of water, and whatever the spraying procedure, its application, use, it remains same like a Bd500. So this is about the Bd501. Let us move towards the next important point, that is a good agricultural practices in cultivation of medicinal plants. We have to supposed to follow the certain good agricultural practices in order to get good yield for the specific herb or the medicinal plant. We should consider the seeds and the utilization material, then the cultivation, soil and fertilization, irrigation, crop maintenance, harvesting, then primary processing, packaging, storage and transport, staff requirement, documentation, and the quality assurance. So these are the certain things, that is the 12 points which needs to be considered under the good agricultural practices. Let us see one by one. In brief, the things related with the good agricultural practices in the cultivation of medicinal plants. Very first point, that is seeds and utilization material. So how it is to be selected, how it is to be identified, already we have discussed the things, isn't it, in the first chapter. So the seeding material are to be identified botanically, indicating plant variety, cultivar, chemotype, and its original. Whatever the remaining things related with the seeds and utilization material, related with the selection, identification, authentication, it remains same. The second point in the good agricultural practices, that is the cultivation, how the medicinal plant it is to be cultivated. So here, depending on the method of cultivation, whether it is conventional or the organic, growers should be allowed to follow the different SOPs, that is standard operating procedure for the growing of the medicinal plant, isn't it? So one should follow the SOPs for the cultivation of the medicinal plant. There are certain standard SOPs are available. The care should be taken to avoid environmental disturbances during the cultivation. The principles of good crop husbandry must be followed, including appropriate rotation of crop. That is one of the important things which needs to be considered under the good agricultural practices when we are growing for the cultivation of medicinal plants. The rotation of crop is very important in order to maintain the health of soil. The next point, that is soil and fertilization. In the case of medicinal and aromatic plants, it should not be grown in a soil that are contaminated by the sludge. It is not at all possible to use the soil which is contaminated with the sludge. The soil should not be contaminated by the heavy metals, pesticidal residues, and other unnatural chemicals. If the soil is contaminated with the heavy metals, then the pesticides and other unnatural chemicals, such soil should not be used for the cultivation of the medicinal plant. The use of fertilizers and other chemical products should be minimum. And if we are using it should be documented and it should be in accordance with the demand of the plant. If the plant doesn't require these chemical fertilizers, one should not go for the use of the chemical fertilizers, isn't it? So this is about the soil fertilization. The next point, that is related with the irrigation. Which type of water should be used? It should be free from the contaminants, right? So irrigation should be minimized as much as possible and only applied as per the need of plant. If plant doesn't need the water, we should not irrigate the farm. So irrigated water should be free from contaminants such as feces, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, and other hazardous substances. Whatever water which is being used for the irrigation of medicinal plants, it should be free from the contaminants, it should be free from the heavy metals, it should be free from the fecal matters, herbicides, pesticides, and the hazardous substances. So this is about the irrigation. Let us see the crop maintenance, how it is to be maintained. That is the fifth point. So tillage, there is a preparation of land for growing crops should be adapted to enable good plant growth and must be carried out whenever required. There is a tillage should be adapted to enable the good plant growth and must be carried out whenever required in order to promote the growth of the plant. Pesticides and herbicides should be avoided as far as possible. One should not be used the certain chemical pesticides or the herbicides if we are using the pesticides and herbicides, it should be documented. So this is related with the crop maintenance. Then harvesting. So harvesting should be done when the plants are in their best quality and quantity. So once the crop is fully grown, it is having a maximum amount of phytoconstituent, then only the harvesting should be done. Right? Harvesting should be done in optimal conditions as a wet soil, dew, rain, high humidity can produce the unavoidable effect or unfavorable effect. So when harvesting is done, whenever all conditions are ideal, isn't it? The factors which needs to be considered or which are going to affect the things, that is a wet soil, dew, rain, high humidity, these are the certain factors which are going to affect the harvesting of the medicinal plant. Then the primary processing, next point, 7th point. So already we have discussed the processing and all those things, primary processing, garbling, washing, drying, isn't it? So whatever for the primary processing, we are using certain equipment. So these equipments should be clean and regularly serviced. Then we are using certain buildings for the storage of material. So building used for processing should be clean, irrigated, and provide protected for the harvested crop from birds, insects, rodents, and the animals. All the processed materials should be inspected and substandard product must be discarded. So during the primary processing, whatever the substandard products are there, substandard medicinal plant is there, diseased plant parts are there, it should be rejected, isn't it? And whatever building we are using for the processing of material, it should be free from birds and the domestic animals. So automatically the contamination, it is going to be reduced. Whatever the equipments which are used for the processing, it should be free from the contaminant. It should be cleaned properly and regularly serviced. The next point that is related with the packaging in the good agricultural practices in the cultivation of medicinal plant. So the product should be packed in the clean, dry, preferably new sacks, bags, or cases. So for the packaging of the medicinal plant material, one should use the clean, dry new sacks or bags or the cases. Then once it is packed, it should be labeled well. Whatever the label is there, it should be clear and it is permanently fixed and made up from the non-toxic material. Whatever the label which is pasted on the packaging, it should be non-toxic material. It should be prepared from the non-toxic material. It should not contaminate the medicinal product. Reusable packaging material should be well cleaned and dried before use, and care should be taken that they do not cause contamination. So these are the things related with the packaging of the herbal material in the good agricultural practices. So whatever the packaging material we are using, it should be free from the contaminants. It should be free from the toxicities. It should not contaminate the medicinal plant which is stored in the packaging material, right? So this is about the packaging. Let us move towards the storage and transport. Already we have discussed certain things related with the storage and storage of the herbal material. So whatever packaged dry materials and essential oils should be stored in the dry, well aerated building in which the temperature fluctuations are controlled and good aeration is provided. So furthermore, there is a need to consider the storage of the packed cartons of the medicinal plants, isn't it? There should be the good aeration as well as there should be the minimum temperature fluctuations, because temperature is one of the parameters which is going to affect the phytoconstituents which are present in the herbal material. The fresh products should be stored between 1 to 5 degrees Celsius, whereas the frozen products should be stored between -18 degrees to -20 degrees Celsius. So these are the certain guidelines it should be followed for the storage of the fresh products. The essential oils should be stored as per the chemical storage standards. During the transportation, sufficiently aerated vehicles should be used, and one should follow the national regulations on the transport isn't it? For the transportation of herbal material, one should follow the guidelines which are given by the national regulations on the transport. So this is about the storage and the transport. The next point, that is the staff requirement. See, already we have discussed that the skilled laborers are required, isn't it? Educated and skilled laborers are required for the collection of herbal material. So same thing should be applied over here in the good agricultural practices. Whatever personnel involved in the good agricultural practices should receive adequate training. So one should provide the training to the laborers, how to collect the material, how to pick up the leaves, how to collect the fruits, and so on. And education related to nature of work is being carried out in the farm. The staff who work with the plant material must have a high degree of personal hygiene. Whatever the labors are there, they should maintain the high degree of personal hygiene. Furthermore, if any staff facing any kind of the infectious diseases should not be allowed in the farm. So this is related with the staff requirement. Then the documentation. So throughout this whole farming, cultivation to collection, storage, transportation, whatever things are there, it should be documented well. So all the propagation material and the steps in the production process must be documented. All the starting material, processing steps, including the location of cultivation, have to be documented. And all agreements between the producer and buyer should be fixed in a written form. So this is about the documentation. And the last point, that is the quality assurance. Yes, it is one of the important things. So in order to ensure a good quality of medicinal plant, it is extremely advisable to educate all personnel dealing with the crop at various stages. And consultation and feedback should be taken from the buyers of medicinal and aromatic plants regarding the quality and other properties of plant material, and an agreement have to be made. So one should take the certain feedback from the buyers, isn't it? So that will help us to improve the further processing of the herbal material. So these are the good agricultural practices in the cultivation of medicinal plants. Let us move towards some infographics which will guide us which type of good agricultural practices are followed. So very first thing, that is site selection and the land preparation. How the site should be selected and how the land should be prepared. So very first thing, whatever the soil is there, it should be tested, isn't it? What type of chemicals are present in the soil and so on. If it is suitable for the particular medicinal plant, then only these medicinal plants should be grown in a such soil. Then select a land having access to clean and reliable source of water. So whatever the land selected, it should have the source of clean water, which is not contaminated one. Then prepare a land according to specific needs of the species. Whatever the variety species we have selected, according to that, one should prepare the soil. Nourish the soil with plenty of well-decomposed organic matter, isn't it? We have to suppose to use certain compost, so automatically the health of soil, it is going to be improved. So these are the things should be done. One should not grow the medicinal plant in a contaminated soil. One should not allow people to defecate in a medicinal plant field, and one should not use the compost made from a city waste and human excreta to the soil. So these are the other things should be considered. That is the do's and don'ts, right? Let us move towards the next infographic, that is sowing and planting. So in the case of sowing, grow medicinal plants which are suitable to your area. If according to geolocation, according to the area, we have to suppose to select the suitable medicinal plant. Use only quality seeds for the planting material. For sowing or for the planting, one should use the good quality material. Sow seeds or transplant seedings at a right season and the time of the year. One should select the proper timing for the sowing of the plants. Maintain proper spacing between the plants and rows. One should maintain the proper distance between the two plants. So automatically that will improve the output from the medicinal plant. prefer planting material from different regions to avoid pest infestation. So these are the things one should consider related to sowing and planting, and one should not use poor quality planting material, right, for growing of the medicinal plant. And one should not grow medicinal plant neighboring to field where chemical pesticides being sprayed. If our neighbor is going to spray or he is always using some chemical fertilizer, isn't it? So in such a farm, one should not grow the medicinal plant, right? Then the cultural practices. So very first point in the cultural practices, follow the crop rotation practice. Always we should rotate the crop, use mulch, straw to maintain the moisture in soil, then uproot weeds in a time, select species that are resistant to local insects and pests and diseases, and take a guidance from experts for the pest management. So these are the things which needs to be considered under the cultural practices. One should not irrigate plants too little or too much, right? Then one should not allow weeds to manure and produce seeds. One should not grow species that are not adapted to local environment or they're susceptible to local pests. And one should avoid using the chemical fertilizers. So these are the things needs to be considered under the cultural practices. And last one, that is sowing and planting. In the case of sowing and planting, use the proper clean tools for harvesting and containers for the storage. Then harvest the material at a right stage, harvest in a dry weather, keep freshly harvested material in the shade, prefer planting material from different regions to avoid pest infestation. One do not harvest weeds along with the medicinal plant. Whatever the weeds are there, it should be removed. One do not use recycled bags or those previously used to store the chemical fertilizers. We have tendency to use the bags of chemical fertilizers after washing to store some medicinal plants. So such things should not be used. Do not place the harvested material on the ground. There should be the one thin layer of a plastic, and on that we have to suppose to place the collected or harvested material, or harvesting should be done on that. So do not harvest the herb during the rain or early in the morning during dew. If there is a high humidity or rainfall is there, in such a situation, one should not harvest the material. So these are the certain good agricultural practices which are widely used in the cultivation of medicinal plants, right? So here with in this session we have discussed the introduction to biodynamic agriculture, definition of biodynamic agriculture. We have seen the certain principles, concepts related to biodynamic agriculture. Furthermore, we have discussed the good agricultural practices in the cultivation of medicinal plants. So thank you very much.